What if Darth Vader cloned Anakin? In Revenge of the Sith, we witnessed Anakin's surgery and how by the end he was placed into his new suit. As the newly appointed Darth Vader, he was nothing more than Palpatine's pet as he served him for the next 20 years hunting Jedi and doing all his dirty work. But what if things were different? What if Vader went behind Palpatine's back and cloned himself as Anakin Skywalker? How different would things have been if this worked and the two fought side by side? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into, so let's get right into it. Our story begins just weeks after the events of Revenge of the Sith, as Vader stood within the depths of his castle meditating in his Bacta tank. Over these past weeks, Vader was still adjusting to his new life and, more importantly, his new suit. For every minute that he was awake, his injury still brought him agonizing pain, so meditating in his Bacta tank allowed him to be free in a way. It brought him peace, it allowed him to be calm, and most of all, it was rejuvenating. However, there was one issue. While he was in his tank, he was left with nothing but his thoughts. Each second that he closed his eyes, all he could think about was what happened that night on Mustafar. He thought about the duel, he thought about his defeat to Obi-Wan, and most of all, he thought about the last time he saw the love of his life, Padme. Each of these memories haunted him, and it made him swell with rage. If only Obi-Wan didn't show up, if only Palpatine didn't send him there in the first place, or if only Padme just listened, then… Vader paused. He then looked down at his missing limbs. As he did, he thought to himself, no, he was worth more than this. He was worth more than to just be this robotic machine. He was worth more than to just be Palpatine's puppet. He was Darth Vader. He was destined for more than this. He was destined for greatness. He couldn't just sit here and be trapped for the rest of his life like this. He just couldn't. He wanted more, and there had to be a way to achieve that. So, Vader closed his eyes once again and went deep in thought. His mind quickly raced. He thought to himself, what if he upgraded his suit? No, he couldn't do that. That would be too risky. A failed surgery could put his entire life at risk. Plus, he would also have to spend time recruiting the right doctors for that. What else could he do? Vader concentrated deep within the Force. Then it hit him. Cloning. Vader could clone himself. If all worked well, then he could clone himself as Anakin Skywalker, and he could truly be the man he was destined to be had he not been injured. He wouldn't be held back by his suit, but instead he'd carry brute force and unlimited power all through this clone. Vader cracked a smile. He loved this idea. If this truly worked in his favor, then he and his clone could overthrow the Emperor together, and in time, he would be pronounced as the new Emperor. With that, the galaxy would belong to him. He would become stronger, he would rule over everyone, and maybe, just maybe, he could even find the resources to find a way to resurrect Padme from her grave. Yes, Vader loved the sound of that. He felt alive, motivated, the best he's felt in weeks. He had a purpose now, and nothing was gonna stop him. So without hesitation, Vader looked at the guards that were standing by his tank and said,
Guards, get me my suit and prepare my shuttle. We leave for Kamino at once.
Eventually, Vader arrived on the planet of Kamino, where it was there he would try to bring his plan to life. The Kaminoans were known to be some of the best cloners in the galaxy, and so Vader was convinced that they'd have all the resources needed for a project like this. So, as Vader arrived at the capital, he went straight to speak with the Prime Minister there, Lama Su. However, as the Dark Lord walked through the halls of Tipoca City, many of the clone troopers there looked at Vader head to toe. Although he had already made his first public appearance over a week ago, seeing him up close was a different story. His towering height, his loud breathing, his presence, everything. It was spine-chilling. Although they all paid their respects, a lot of the clones couldn't help but feel cold inside. Their new master was terrifying. However, as Vader made his way through the halls, he eventually reached the Prime Minister's office, where it was there the two spoke.
Lord Vader, what an honor it is to be visited by one of the Empire's finest. How can we be of service?
I am here to request your cloning services, Prime Minister. One that is a replication of myself.
You wish to clone yourself? Well, that can certainly be arranged, my lord. How many units will you be needing?
1 unit.
Only 1? Well, that is very fascinating. May I ask what this is for?
I did not come here to be interrogated, Prime Minister. From my understanding, the Kaminoans have a high reputation. It would be most unfortunate if that is not the case.
My apologies, my lord. I was inquiring purely out of curiosity. Very well. In order to proceed, we will need to evaluate your blood to ensure that your type can be approved. From there, we can get to work right away.
As you wish, Prime Minister. However, this visit is not to be documented or remain on file. My visit here to Kamino is not one under any imperial request, rather one authorized by myself.
I understand. Then we will ensure that this remains private, my lord. Anything else?
Yes, just like your standard clones, I request for this one to have accelerated aging as well.
Although Vader had never gone through the cloning process before, he knew that if he were to truly overthrow the Emperor, he couldn't wait for too long. This clone of himself had to have accelerated aging.
Very well. That will be no issue. Shall we proceed?
Vader nodded, and as he did, a Kaminoan doctor entered the room. From there, he took a sample of Vader's blood and placed it into a small glass vial. As Vader's blood was being sampled, the results quickly came up on the screen, but Lama Su was shocked. He was stunned.
Lord Vader, while your blood is safe to continue with, your M count is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Is that a problem?
Well, it shouldn't be, no. But to replicate an M count of that high is almost near to impossible. While the cloning itself should be successful, I cannot guarantee the clone's M count will be as high as yours.
Vader clenched his fist. As he did, he choked the Prime Minister without hesitation.
I did not visit your planet for you to grovel, Prime Minister. I demand results, not excuses.
Okay. They have a solution.
Vader let go. As he did, Lama Su gasped for air.
One of our doctors, Nala Se, has a very close bond with one of our enhanced female clones named Omega. Unlike the standard clones, she has a positive M count that should work perfectly for your project. It won't be easy, but I will ensure that her blood is provided.
Good. I look forward to seeing your work, Prime Minister. It would be most unfortunate if we need to have a conversation like this again.
Lama Su nodded, and from there, Vader stormed off. With that, the Kaminoans got to work immediately to create the clone of Darth Vader. Over the next week, Vader continued his work in hunting Jedi when eventually he was informed that his clone was finally ready. Anakin Skywalker was reborn and the cloning process was complete. According to Lama Su, the transfer was successful and the young clone still had a positive midichlorian count. So now that the new clone was ready to be picked up, Vader traveled back to Kamino to retrieve him. However, as he held the young Anakin Skywalker for the first time, Vader was shocked. The Dark Lord felt a mix of different emotions. Although he was satisfied with this creation, part of him was speechless. This is how he looked when he was that age? More importantly though, is this how he and Padme's child would have looked? For years, they picked so many different boy names together, one being the name Jin to honor Qui-Gon Jinn, and another boy name they picked out together was Luke. Holding this child made Vader remember those moments with Padme and what could have been. However, now wasn't the time for weakness. Although he was still young, it was now time to get to work and to prepare and train the young Anakin Skywalker. So, Vader left Kamino with Anakin and their new journey together had begun. Ten years had passed since Vader cloned himself and everything had gone according to his plan. Under Vader's command, his new clone of Anakin Skywalker was growing stronger by the day, and together, the two were unstoppable. However, because of Anakin's accelerated aging, he was now technically at the age of 20 and was almost at the height of his power. Each and every day, Vader trained Anakin brutally and taught him everything he knew about the Force and how to master the dark side. Day in and day out, he put Anakin through rigorous training, intense lightsaber combat sessions, and studies on what made the Jedi so weak. In a way, it made Vader proud, because as he was watching Anakin grow older and stronger, it made him reflect on his own life. Although he refused to acknowledge the name Anakin Skywalker anymore, he couldn't help but think to himself that his clone has nearly reached the power he could have reached had he never been burned. However, not just because of his power in the Force, but even personality-wise. This clone shared the same exact personality as Anakin once did, just darker. He wasn't held back by the Jedi's strict rules or their pathetic way of teachings, but instead just full of raw power. This new Anakin had anger, he had hatred, and most of all, he was becoming unstoppable. However, there was just one problem. As Anakin's powers in the Force grew, Vader had to make sure that he was kept a secret from the Emperor by any means necessary. He had to make sure that Palpatine never found out about his creation, and so he went through extra lengths to make that happen. Since Palpatine kept some of his personal royal guards stationed at Vader's castle, he had to make sure that none of them would grow suspicious. So he did something smart. To keep Anakin a secret, Vader purposely never kept him in his castle, but rather in one of his hidden fortresses on the planet of Vizhun. It was in that fortress where Anakin was kept hidden for all these years, but Vader didn't just leave him there all by himself. To ensure Anakin was always safe, he had his own personal assistant Vinay look after him there, and in a way he was essentially his caretaker over the years. Luckily, Vader trusted Vinay enough to keep this a secret from the Emperor, and so he was the only other person in the galaxy who knew about this clone. However, to make sure that Anakin was still being trained, Vader would travel to Vizhun almost daily, and it was there where he would put him through those intense sessions. Now 10 years later, Vader traveled to the fortress just like he'd always do, and it was there where he met with Anakin.
Master, you're here early today.
Yes, clone. I have urgent news to share with you.
What is it?
Your powers in the dark side have grown stronger. It seems you are almost ready to confront the Emperor.
I've been ready for a while. I don't see why we don't get this over with already.
Be careful not to get ahead of yourself, clone. Remember your place.
Remember my place. You need me. Without me, you'll never be able to take Sidious on alone.
Vader shook his head. His clone was truly a carbon copy of his old self, arrogant and blinded by his power.
You are but a mere clone and easily replaceable. Disobey my orders, and you will not live to regret it.
Shall we put that to a test, then?
As you wish.
With that, Anakin ignited his crimson red saber and did a backflip to attack his master. Vader then ignited his, and it was now a duel between him and Anakin Skywalker. However, as the two clashed sabers, Vader was impressed with Anakin's speed and agility. Although they practiced every day, this time Anakin felt quicker, more powerful. He wasn't sure if it was just the accelerated aging taking effect, but this time around, Anakin felt stronger. Despite him not saying anything though, Vader enjoyed this. He enjoyed seeing his clone progress and seeing his raw power grow. That was as long as he knew his place. As long as he knew that he would never be the master and only a mere clone, nothing else. So Anakin and Vader kept clashing, but over time, Vader grew tired. Throughout this fight so far, he was just toying with him, but now he was done. It was time to put Anakin in his place. So without even hesitating, Vader quickly knocked Anakin's saber out of his hands and brought him to the ground. As he did, he pointed his saber right at Anakin's throat.
Impressive, clone. Very impressive. Your powers have indeed grown stronger.
That was lucky. You caught me off guard.
Your arrogance blinds you. Such weakness will not work if we are to overthrow the Emperor.
Vader retracted his saber, and as he did, Anakin picked himself up.
What must I do then? I'm tired of being held back here, Master. I haven't even hunted a single Jedi yet. I should be out there with you, hunting them all down, not stuck here in this fortress all day.
Patience, clone. Today was your best performance yet. A few months more of our training and you will be ready.
Ah, yes. I suppose of all people you should know that, because I am you.
Vader went silent.
That's all I am to you, aren't I? Just a remembrance of your old self.
Vader became enraged. Every part of him wanted to attack this clone right then and there and finish him off for good. However, he held himself back. Although he'd never admit it, Anakin was right. He needed him. If this plan were to work, Anakin would be the key to everything. Vader couldn't overthrow Palpatine himself, no matter how hard he tried. He needed him to make this happen.
3 more months, then you shall be ready.
Anakin nodded his head.
Vinay will be here shortly. I shall see you tomorrow, clone.
3 months had passed, and just as Vader predicted, Anakin was now ready to confront the Emperor. Since Vader knew his old self more than anybody, he knew that 3 months would be the perfect time for Anakin's skills to grow enough. And well, he was right. Anakin was ready. So as Vader went to the fortress once again, he met with Anakin to depart for Coruscant.
We will now be setting off for Coruscant, clone.
About time.
Vader ignored his comment.
To remain hidden, you will be disguised as an Inquisitor. The face of Anakin Skywalker is too recognizable. You will wear it, and we will confront my master in his office. Is that understood?
Anakin nodded.
Good. We leave for Coruscant at once.
From there, Anakin was placed into his new Inquisitor fit, and the two set off for Coruscant. As time passed, Vader and Anakin arrived, and they made their way to the Imperial Palace. Just like Vader predicted, Anakin's Inquisitor disguise worked, and nobody raised an eyebrow at all. So, as the two entered Palpatine's office, Palpatine turned from his chair.
Lord Vader, I take it your recent missions have gone well, my old friend?
Yes, my master.
Yet, I sense an unfamiliarity with this Inquisitor standing by your side. I do not believe I have been acquainted with them yet.
Anakin stayed silent.
Remove your helmet, Inquisitor.
Anakin removed his helmet. As he did, Palpatine was shocked. It looked like he just saw a ghost. However, as Palpatine kept looking at the young Anakin Skywalker, his emotions shifted. Out of nowhere, he started laughing.
Magnificent. Very, very impressive work, Lord Vader.
Vader went silent.
It seems you took it upon yourself to clone the weak, pathetic man that Anakin Skywalker once was.
You're gravely mistaken, Your Highness. I am nothing like that Jedi Anakin Skywalker.
Ah, yes. Just like young Skywalker. You too are blinded by your own arrogance.
I will no longer be serving you, my master. Your rule has come to an end.
Is that so? You are but a fool, Lord Vader. It was I who saved you on Mustafar all those years ago. And this is how you repay me? By attempting to overthrow me with your pathetic clone? Or perhaps your clone is a reminder of what you could have been, had you never been defeated.
Palpatine looked at Anakin.
He was destined to be my dream apprentice, and he could have been so much more. However, he was too weak. Too weak to even defeat a lone Jedi. Perhaps if he had spent less time focusing on his cloning experiment, he could have gotten his revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi by now. But per usual, Lord Vader is as clumsy as he is stupid.
Vader had enough. He was filled with rage.
Let us end this, clone.
Anakin nodded and ignited his red saber. So did Vader.
So be it.
With that, Palpatine also ignited his and leaped towards the two of them. It was now a duel between Vader, Anakin, and Palpatine as the three fought in the Emperor's office. Flashes of red beamed across the room as the three went back and forth, clashing their lightsabers. However, as the three dueled, Palpatine quickly realized that he was no match for the two of them. Individually, he'd be able to take them easily, but their combined strength was just too much. Throughout his years of living, he hadn't lost many duels, but he was quickly becoming overwhelmed, especially by Anakin. His raw power, his strength, his agility, everything. So the three kept clashing, but in time, Palpatine got weaker and weaker. As the two overwhelmed the Emperor, Anakin was finally able to get the upper hand. Out of nowhere, he knocked Palpatine's saber right out of his hands, and then, using all his power in the dark side, Anakin unleashed a bolt of Force lightning right at Palpatine, bringing him to the ground. However, not only was Palpatine shocked at this, but so was Vader and even Anakin himself. Vader never taught him that, and Anakin never knew he had such power. He felt unstoppable. So as Palpatine laid there on the ground, Anakin pointed his saber right at his throat. Vader stood behind him.
Good. Very good, young Skywalker. It seems you are more powerful than your master. Unfortunately, due to his injuries, he could never master the ability of Force Lightning. But here you are.
Shut it. I didn't ask you to speak.
Oh, but you'll want to hear what I have to say, young Skywalker. Your master is a fool. You are nothing more than just a mere clone to him. He sees you as a tool, and nothing more. Kill me if you wish, but you'll always remain his slave.
And what's stopping me from killing both of you?
Your age.
What are you talking about?
What? Did Lord Vader never tell you? Your age is accelerated, young Skywalker. You age twice as fast as, say, a normal human. What took you 10 years to reach this age would take someone else 20 years.
Anakin went silent. He had no words.
Join me, young Skywalker, and I will ensure that your rapid aging will be put to an end. Together we can discover the secret, and you shall have unlimited power.
Anakin stayed quiet. He couldn't believe what he was hearing.
Become my apprentice. Learn to use the true dark side of the Force.
At that moment, Vader knew he had to act. The longer Palpatine was alive, the more he tried to manipulate Anakin. He of all people knew that since he was in those same exact shoes all those years ago. So Vader had to put this to an end. He couldn't let this go on.
Join me, young Skywalker.
Out of nowhere, Vader leaped towards Palpatine and stabbed his saber right through his chest. It was over. Emperor Palpatine was dead.
No! Why would you?
Without hesitation, Anakin rushed towards Vader, and now the two of them began to clash. Anakin and Vader then went back and forth just like they've done countless times before, but this time, it was to the death. This time, only one of them would survive. So the two kept clashing, but luckily for Vader, he came prepared. He knew every weakness that Anakin had. He knew every move that he was about to make. However, there was one issue. Anakin was more athletic, more agile, and quicker. If Vader kept going on like this, he'd lose. So he pushed back to catch his breath real quick. As he did, he and Anakin looked at one another face to face. With Anakin's eyes blazed with yellow and orange, he said,
Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me I aged faster?
You were created to serve one purpose, clone. To defeat the Emperor by my side. Now, you are of no further use.
I am more than just a clone, you fool.
Out of nowhere, Anakin leaped right back towards Vader and the duel continued. This time though, Vader didn't let up. He wanted Anakin to become enraged. He wanted his arrogance to get the best of him. However, more than anything, he wanted Anakin to think he had to prove himself. He made that same mistake years ago on Mustafar, and that mentality is what cost him everything. Now, Anakin would soon make a similar mistake as long as Vader stayed patient. So the two kept clashing, and with everything Anakin threw at him, Vader had a counter. He knew Anakin's moves far too well, and he was prepared. So, finally using all his rage, Anakin went in for an attack on Vader, but then... With one swift strike of his blade, Vader sliced Anakin's arm off, bringing him to the ground.
You are beaten.
Anakin laid there in agonizing pain. However, as he looked up at Vader, he tried his best to speak.
You... All I ever was to you was a pet. I was... nothing.
Did you really believe you were more than that, clone?
Kill me, Lord Vader. End me if you wish, but you'll always remember me as what you could have been. I will always be a reminder of all of your failures. Go rule the galaxy. Go be the Emperor. But nothing will ever bring back your dead wife. Nothing will ever...
Without hesitation, Vader stabbed his saber right through Anakin's body. Anakin Skywalker was now dead, and Vader couldn't help but laugh inside. Everything had gone according to his plan, and now he had a galaxy to rule. Vader had truly won. So he took one last look at his dead clone's body, and as he did, he said,
The Empire thanks you for your service, clone.
As Vader said this, he then walked away and went deep in thought. Sidious was dead, the galaxy was his, and now the Empire was only going to grow stronger from this day forward. However, Vader didn't want to stop there. As his mind raced, he began thinking of a new plan, a new project that would let nobody stop him, one that would terrify this galaxy and anybody who opposed him.
Lord Vader, it has been a while. I take it your clone has been serving you well?
Your creation was a failure, Prime Minister. I was most disappointed by its lack of obedience.
My apologies, Lord Vader. The clone was designed to be an exact replication of its original host.
That is not why I summoned you, Prime Minister. I am here to present you with an opportunity to fix your mistakes by creating me a clone army of the exact template. This time, there will be no mistakes. I require each clone to show obedience and loyalty to this empire.
Lord Vader, as much as I would like to assist you, it was one of your own Imperials who were responsible for destroying our home on Kamino. Although the Emperor has been pushing for his own personal cloning projects as of recent, we no longer have the resources we once had. Our facilities are destroyed.
The Emperor's projects will no longer be relevant. He's dead. I am your Emperor now.
Dead?
Yes. Now, Prime Minister, I will provide any resources necessary to rebuild Tipoca City, as long as this new clone army is created. Moving forward, you will only be serving me, and you will ensure that you will not fail me again. Is that understood?
Yes, Lord Vader.
Good. We begin our work at once.